I've only really had one bad experience on a blind date. My friend Kate thought she'd do me a favour and set me up with a guy from her work. It'll be great, Jess, she said. He's fab, you'll love him. I was excited, naturally, maybe curious, even a little afraid. We met at a local pub for a drink. When I arrived, he introduced himself, but I could barely understand the name coming from his drunken lips, and he stunk of garlic. I found out he'd met friends 3 hours earlier and had sloshed his brain into another world. To add to this, he'd eaten a kebab and had bits of relish and salad on his chin and on his shirt. It wasn't the nicest time I've ever had. So, after a drink, I faked an incoming call and made my escape. A bad experience, definitely, but I've never let it put me off.
I like to have a few drinks before I go on a blind date. Settle the old nerves, you know. Not too many though. I still want to be in control of the situation. I like the date to be on my terms. Show who's in command right from the start. There's nothing better than playing it really cool. Make her feel like you're doing her a favour just by being there. When it comes to conversation, I stick with the safe subjects. Steer clear of RPS, I say. Religion, politics and sport. These are the three subjects that women either don't care or know absolutely nothing about. Especially sport.
I've learned to try and start the conversation when I go on a date. If you let him start, you end up spending the first 30 minutes talking rubbish. A waste of time and drink, in my opinion. Men usually try and swerve away from sport because they think you know nothing about it. I like to compare the opening exchanges of a date with the first few rounds of the Ali Frazier fight from '75. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be like the Thriller in Manila for a minute. It can be very civilised. Just hit him with a few body shots, let him know you're there. The first few rounds can be crucial in this game. It's also a good idea to have a decent grasp of the offside rule, just in case.
What kind of women do I usually go for? Breathing generally. I've been on dates with all kinds of women. Brunettes, blondes, brown eyes, blue eyes, tall, short. I don't really have any boundaries when it comes to the opposite sex. I think if you have boundaries, you're only going to be disappointed.
I've dated all kinds of men, and I've sort of dwindled my taste right down now. I'm the type of girl who knows exactly what she's looking for, and I tend to let the guy know that, in a subtle way, over the first 30 minutes of the evening, just so we both know where we stand.
I think you can tell how a date's going to pan out over the first half an hour. But that's not going to stop me from really laying on the charm if I've got an interest in the subject. I've developed a knack of sweet talking any girl into the next phase.
I really hate men who are full of themselves. Now, don't get me wrong, I love strong men. It's the guys who think they're God's gift that really piss me off. And there seems to be an awful lot of them out there.
This date's a difficult one to call. It was set up by a friend and they're the worst kind. See, friends think they know you, when really, you just haven't got a clue.
Worst case scenario would be that we just don't get on and we both know it. I hate the uncomfortable ones where you just want to get out of there from the start. Best possible outcome. Second date. My motto, leave them wanting more.
Worst thing that could happen is that she catches on to the type of guy I am right from the start. That could be daunting. Doesn't usually happen to me though. I'm like a Japanese warrior, highly trained in his art. Never let her think that you want to feed her food by the light of the fridge. Best case scenario, by 2 AM I am feeding her food by the light of the fridge. Well, if I said that date went well, I'd be lying.
Nightmare. Absolute nightmare.
Everything that could possibly go wrong went wrong. Nothing could have prepared me for this night.
Many words come to mind. Self-loving, conceited, arrogant, Arsehole.
The words boring and tedious come to mind. She was the most unlikable person I've ever met. And I thought I'd met them all.
God, he was so full of himself. If he was chocolate, he would have nibbled on himself all night. He clicked his fingers for service, for Christ's sake. We were in Weatherspoons.
She thought she knew everything. I bloody hate that. I told her I did a bit of kayaking as a hobby in my spare time. Wouldn't you know? She was once engaged to the European bloody slalom champion. I told her I'm a computer programmer. Lo and behold, she once went on a date with a guy who worked for Microsoft. If you went to Tenerife, she went to Elevenerife. That's the type of person I'm talking about here.
I think I fell asleep 3 times during the meal. 3 times? I've never had that experience before. He just went on and on about how he did this, about how he did that. Honest to God, it was 25 minutes before he asked me a question. And that was, shall we go Dutch?
Usually you have something to work with. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Anyway, we had the meal and she went to the toilet, so I kicked into my escape routine. Called my mate Mike and told him to phone me in 10 minutes.
I went to the toilets to phone my sister and tell her what a nightmare I was having. She said she'd call me back and fake the old something's come up routine. I could not get out of there fast enough.
I paid for the meal and got my arse out of there. We both knew the score. I put the whole night down as a complete washout. Until...
There I was, waiting for a taxi. In the pouring rain with a snapped heel, thinking, this has got to be one of the worst nights ever. When?
Jessica Barnes.
Adam Rogers.
I hadn't seen Jess since uni.
I hadn't seen Adam since uni.
I always had a bit of a thing for Jess.
Adam used to go out with my best friend Kate. I had a hell of a crush on him.
I walked over to her. Couldn't believe she remembered me.
It was like a scene from a really bad rom-com.
I don't know what it was, but we just seemed to click straight away.
It was madness. It was like fate. Like we were both supposed to be there at that precise time.
It just felt right.
We went for drinks. I've never laughed so much in all my life. We talked about everything. It was like we were supposed to be together.
I just loved listening to her voice, her giggle. She has the perfect smile. Just couldn't believe what was happening.
Dancing.
As a rule, I don't dance. But I didn't mind looking a prat in front of her.
I've never seen such a bad dancer. I was crying with laughter.
Best night I've ever had.
Amazing night.
And we both shared the same favourite film.
9.5 weeks. What are the odds on that? Whose favourite film is 9.5 weeks?
Crazy. Absolutely crazy.
So I changed my motto.
I tell you, it's a good job I've been shopping.
Light of the fridge.
Hey, it was her idea.